It's not very often that I find myself very excited for an upcoming indie game, but that is the case with Cairn. From development team The Game Bakers, which you might know from Fury. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a strange thing to see them do next, but it seems like they like to keep things fresh. They are bakers after all. Cairn is being touted as a mountain climbing simulation fused with survival elements, but after playing the recently released to very positive reviews demo, I think it's doing a lot of things that I rarely see done in video games that makes me incredibly excited. Now, whether you've played that demo or not, I think that there's a lot of stuff about Cairn that makes me excited and just how smart the design of it seems to be so far. So we're going to delve into that. By the way, hi, I'm Mug. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Let's shine a bit of an extra spotlight on Cairn. Now, the demo itself might take you anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many times you find yourself in trouble, and it does show you what the game is about. It's really divided into two different parts: walking around, during which you can collect different items that you can then use to cook and craft so that you can stay alive, and climbing. And that's because you play as Ava, a very experienced mountain climber whose dream it is to be the first human to reach the peak of Mount Kami. And so you set out accompanied by Climbot, which essentially does what a climbing partner would do, ropes and belays and things like that, while retaining the sense of isolation that you're going to be climbing this huge mountain all on your own. The climbing itself is really interesting, and it should be, considering it's going to be the main mechanic of the game. It appears very simple on the surface, but it has quite a lot of nuance to it. Mostly, you're just going to be holding the left stick and pressing the X button a lot, or the square button. Every time you do, you rest the limb that you're controlling right where it is, and then control the next one in a sequence with some smart little changes that it does depending on what the game thinks you would want to move. If you didn't want to move the limb it changes to, you would just have to press it again very quickly. And this is so far maybe my only gripe with the game. I think the system works well, but I would like an alternate mode where maybe I can control each limb individually, maybe using the shoulder buttons and triggers on a controller or something. But this does strike a point of accessibility that I think is good to maybe steer it away from comparisons to maybe Bennett Foddy or Quap-like games. What is very interesting about the climbing, though, is that there is no gamification going on. There is under the surface, of course. There's systems here. But you're supposed to judge by looking at things if where Ava has placed her foot or her hand is a strong hold, something that does offer support in such a way that her stamina isn't being lost. And if you were to rest a limb where there is nowhere to really rest it, it's going to consume your stamina and you're going to risk falling off. This combination of methodically climbing and looking for different places to position while paying close attention to see if you actually have a good hold and make sure you aren't draining your stamina is the kind of gameplay experience where suddenly you don't realize how much time has passed. It's fully engrossing because it demands so much of your attention. Every move requires that extra little bit of precision, and you have to be resting from time to time, especially when you have a good hold, to recover some of your stamina. And from time to time, you can also set down a belay, which will allow you to rest and kind of serves as a checkpoint, although you do have a limited number of these. This also means there's a mini game going on here where you don't want to use them until strictly necessary. But if you hold on just a little bit too long and find yourself in a bad situation, you're not going to have time to set it up and you might fall down to either your previous checkpoint or the ground. And once you finish the demo, you get this little fly-through showing you all of the lines you took up these walls and the moments where you had more pressure, where you didn't conserve your stamina, where you didn't have a good hold, and exactly how long it took you to get there. So there is this speedrun competition type of feel to it at the same time that it is a very vibes-based game, if you want to call it that. And we all know there's going to be some achievement for never using a rope and calling it free solo. Now, the fact that there is this moment-to-moment gameplay that, while it is very relaxing and very trance-like, does have all of these different things affecting it, from your stamina and maybe some of the survival elements that you used before, some of the items that you can craft that can give you different boosts and help you, And keeping in mind those checkpoints and how you're doing means that you're always having fun and paying attention to a larger picture, but that's not the fundamental reason why I think that this is so smart. The biggest reason is that it translates something very important about the sport of climbing, specifically free climbing without routes, that is very important. It took me a moment to realize that I didn't need to follow the more visual markers that the game had set up for where it had paths for me to climb. I could climb anywhere. I could find my own path up the mountains in the demo. And once you start paying attention, there's tons of different paths available. That moment of walking around and looking at walls to decide which is going to be the best one, especially when I start to couple it in my mind with, well, maybe I have certain food or I have only enough water or something to make a small climb, but not a big climb. Let me find a smaller climb with maybe a resting spot in between so that I can find somewhere else to survive and then climb up, and how that decision making might impact where you choose to go during the game, the time pressure of that survival element as you survey the land, as you look through these walls and say, hey, maybe this is the path that I should go, and the unexpected trials that you might encounter on the way. Now, we don't know how long the game is going to be or what progression mechanics there might be, but I would say that from the demo, that replayability of just looking around and finding different ways to climb something is enough for a lot of people, and it is enough for me to kind of start looking for the best ways to be the most efficient. I am very excited to see if later on through those survival mechanics or through some mechanic, there are different ways to have Ava do different things, maybe new ways of climbing or unlocking different things that you can use in that process to maybe help you, I don't know, do small jumps, as well as things related to the environment, since it does seem that most of what we're going to be climbing later on is covered in snow. I wonder how that's going to impact things, and I hope that it can stay fresh throughout its entire runtime. I spend a lot of time playing indie games because I think that they're amazing, and it's where some of the coolest ideas in games are. And while a lot of the time indie games end up being a surprise hit, I think that Cairn is probably going to end up being a hit. I recommend you go try out the demo, see if it vibes with you. And me personally, it's one of the games I'm most looking forward to just enjoying next year. Nice short little video today, just really wanted to highlight this because I thought it was amazing. But as always, I've been Mug, thank you so much for watching. If you want more from me, including news, reviews, retrospectives, and everything regarding games, remember to subscribe, helps out a ton. An extra special thanks to my patrons up on the $1 patron wall for supporting everything that I do. Go out there, enjoy some great games, and I'll see you again very soon.